Yeah, good evening and welcome. Today we will solve one more programming question that was asked in previous Wipro examination. And the question is, write a program to test whether the given three numbers, form a Pythagorean triplet or not. This is the question. Okay, so you are given three numbers and we need to check whether these three numbers form a Pythagorean triplet or not. Okay. So sample input, if we look into input format for this question, the input will be three numbers. Three numbers will be the input and the output should be Pythagorean triplet or not. Triplet or not. Okay, so this you should print as a output. Now if we take a sample input, if we consider the sample input for this problem, assume the three numbers, input numbers are 3, 4, 5. Okay, so then your sample output for this one is Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so 3, 4, 5 forms Pythagorean triplet. So then we should print a Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so if I take another sample input, say sample input 1 here, sample output 1. Okay, so then we'll take another input output, second input output. Say sample input 2 will take, and output, for example, the three numbers are something like 6, say 8, okay, then 9. 6, 8, 9. Okay, so then we should print the output as not a Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so these three numbers does not form a Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so this is a sample input output. From this we can identify the logic. Now, so to know whether the three numbers are Pythagorean triplet or not. Okay, so if we know Pythagoras theorem, then we can easily find out whether these three numbers form Pythagorean triplet or not. Okay, so what Pythagoras theorem says, given a right angle triangle, okay, say for example, if this is the right angle triangle, this is the right angle triangle. Yes, so here the angle will be 90 degrees. Here the angle will be 90 degrees. Then it is called a right angle triangle, right? So assume that this is the one side is A, another side is B, then we have another side C. Okay, if these A, B, C are three sides of this right angle triangle. Okay, so then as per Pythagoras theorem, we have a proof. Okay, so c square is equals to a square. C is what? Hypotenuse. C is what? Hypotenuse. So hypotenuse square is equal to side square plus height square. Okay, so if this is the side or base and this is the height, if we consider, side square plus a base square. In any right angle triangle, if you consider the three sides, their three sides satisfies this theorem. C square is equal to A square plus B square. Okay. In that way, the three sides will be formed in a right angle triangle. Okay. So now given three numbers, okay, we do not know which one is hypotenuse in this and which one is a base and which one is height here. Okay, so we should assume these three numbers are A, B, C. It can be in any combination. This may be A, this may be B, this may be C, or this may be A, this may be B, this may be C, or it may be A, it may be B, it may be C. Okay, so if you consider the three different combinations of these numbers, okay, if in any one combination, if it satisfies this rule, we can say that these three numbers form Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so for example, if we consider the first input here, so for example 5, if I take as hypotenuse, okay, so then 5 square is equals to, okay, so we consider the other two sides as 3 square plus 4 square. If both are equal, both sides are equal, then we can say that this forms a Pythagorean triplet. So 5 square is what? 25. 5 square is what? 25. Then 25 is equal to 3 square is what? This is 3 square. 3 square is 9 plus 4 square is 16. So 9 plus 16 is 25. So 25 is equals to 25. Left hand LHS and RHS both are equal. Okay. So that means it is satisfying this formula. That means 3, 4, 5 form. 3, 4, 5 form the three sides of a right angle triangle. That's why they are called a Pythagorean triplet. They are called a Pythagorean triplet. Now, if you consider these three, okay, so here 9 square, you can say 9 square is equals to 6 square plus 8 square. 6 square plus 8 square. So 9 square is what? 81. So 81 is equals to 6 square is what? 36. 6 square is 36 plus 8 square is 64. So how much you are getting here? So this is 6 plus 4, 10. 6 plus 3, 9 plus 1, 10. 100 we are getting on the RHS side. Okay. So that means 81 is not equals to 100. Okay, so that's why these three does not form a Pythagorean triplet. So your output should be not a Pythagorean triplet. This is how you should check. This is the logic behind this program. Once you get the logic, easily you can convert this into program. Okay, so what we do is we'll write the program here directly. I'll write the code here. Otherwise, we open online compiler. In browser, you type online C compiler. So this is best if you don't have any compiler installed in your computer. Better go for online C compiler, and these are the latest compilers. So better to practice on these compilers. So open this first link. Yeah, here is our editor. Now we can directly type the code. So remove everything. Okay, now start writing the code. Okay, so the first line to be written is header file. Okay, so include the header file, hash include stdio.h. Okay, so then write the main function, then begin the main here. Now what is the input format? Directly input format is three numbers is entering. Okay, so that's why these three numbers we need to catch in three variables. Okay, so what we do is we declare three variables. You can call the variables as a comma b comma c or x comma y comma z p q or any three variable names you can choose. Okay, now directly you read those three numbers first. So scanf directly you say percentage d reads the first number, second percentage d reads the second number, and next percentage d reads the third number. Okay, so then store the first number in address of a comma store the second number in address of b comma store the third number in address of c, address of c. Okay, so now we'll get the three numbers from input into our program. Okay, so now three numbers. Now please remember here the three numbers may be here I have given the input as 3 4 5. Okay, but sometimes the input may be in another format. Okay, so it may be something like say 4 5 and 3, or we can say that 4 3 5, or we can say that 5 3 4. Okay, in any format if you give, these three form the Pythagorean triplet. These three form the Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so you should take care of all these possible combinations. In any combination it should form Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so that's why what we do is we'll check all the possibilities here. Okay, right. So once we have three numbers, now just check here. Okay, so if first one, okay, so what is the first one? C square. Okay, so how we'll write C square? C star C in C star C we write. Okay, so C square is equals to A square, A star A plus B star B. If C square is equal to A square plus B square. Okay, so directly here we can print here, say printf. Otherwise, okay, I'll tell another way of writing this. Okay, so first we'll write our basic program. Okay, so immediately you can write here Pythagorean triplet. Pythagorean triplet. This is how we asked the output to be printed. Yes or no? So if C square is equal to A square plus B square, then immediately we can say that it is a Pythagorean triplet. Otherwise, else, since there is only one statement, actually no need. Okay, so let me first complete this. Else, what we need to do, that means this combination C we are considering as hypotenuse, A, B we are considering as two other sides. Okay, so in that combination, if this condition is false, then you should consider B as hypotenuse, B as hypotenuse or A as hypotenuse. Then better you are coming from C onwards, better you consider B as hypotenuse now. Okay, so then you check considering B as hypotenuse. If B is hypotenuse, then what is the formula? B square should be equals to B square should be equals to A square. Okay, so A star A plus C star C. C star C. Okay, so if B square is equal to A square plus C square. Okay, so in such case also we can say that it is a Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so we can print here. Control C here. Then I am just copy pasting. Okay, right. So if this is also false, that means C is not the hypotenuse, B is not the hypotenuse, then obviously A is the hypotenuse. Then you check here. Okay, so here you say else if A square is equals to A star A equals to So you say that a square equals to a square equals to b square, b star b plus c star c, c star c. Okay, so if a is considered as hypotenuse, then you can say this is the, here directly you can write Pythagorean triplet. Okay, if these three conditions are not satisfied, if these three are not satisfied, okay, so that means c square is equal to a square plus b square, false. That means c is not the hypotenuse. Then we are considering b is the hypotenuse. If this is also false, then we are considering a as the hypotenuse. If this is also false, okay, so that means these three numbers does not form Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so in the final else you just write not a Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so here say not a Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so then say return 0, then close. So this is how we can consider. Okay, so what we are doing in our, see here in our diagram, given three numbers a b c, first time we are considering c as the hypotenuse. Okay, so next time, next combination, if that is not forming the right angle triangle, then we are considering next b as the hypotenuse, then a and c are other two sides, a and c are other two sides. Okay, so we may be checking whether b is forming the hypotenuse. Okay, if this is also not satisfying, okay, so then next we are checking whether a is the hypotenuse or not. Now we are considering a as the hypotenuse, and the remaining two sides b and c form other two sides. Okay, so these three possible conditions we are checking. Okay, if these three are also false, then we can say that these are not the sides of a right angle triangle we can consider. That means it is not a Pythagorean triplet, not a Pythagorean triplet. So all possible combination with single, you cannot always say that the last number is always C, because input may be, in his test cases, input may be in any order. In this way, input may be in any order. Okay, so then you should consider all the three possible combinations of these three numbers. Okay, sometimes C may be the hypotenuse, sometimes B may be the hypotenuse, in some test cases A may be the hypotenuse. Okay, so if any one of these satisfied, then we say it is a Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so let me just run this code. Now it is asking input. Okay, so what we do is we enter these 3, 4, 5. Just check here. Now see Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so where from it has displayed, the first case it is satisfying, c square is equal to a square plus b square. Okay, next second case, we'll see the second case. Now see, what I do is I enter 3, 5 and 4. Now see Pythagorean triplet. Where from this is printed? This is printed from the second one. This is printed from the second if statement. B square is equal to, B square is what? 25. 5 square is equal to 3 square plus 4 square. Okay, right? So if we run the next possibility, see, it may be sometimes like this, 5, 3, 4. Okay, so then see here, Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so where from this you need to identify from which if statement it is printing. Okay, so here you can say a square is equal to b square plus c square. That means 5 square is equal to 3 square plus 4 square. From this it is printing this Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so we'll take another test case which is given in sample input. Okay, so let us just enter the other test case. Yes, any doubt, Rohan? Got it? Okay, right. So what is the second test case? 689. Okay, so 689, 689. If I enter, now see, not a Pythagorean triplet. Okay, right. So this is elementary programming. Okay, because you are writing same printf Pythagorean triplet at three places. At three places you are writing here. Okay, so instead of that you can take another variable. Simply you can take another variable with single printf, you can do this program. Okay, so what is that? See, you can take say a variable called as flag is equals to initially 0, you can say. Okay, so if the condition is satisfied, okay, so you can say that instead of writing this here, you can say flag is equals to 1. You can just say flag is equals to 1. Since there is only one statement, no need of writing these parentheses here or curly braces here. Okay, so automatically the next statement is considered for this if. Okay, so this way you can reduce the number of lines. Now here also you can remove these, and instead of this printf statement, you can say flag is equals to 1. Flag is equals to 1. Then here also you can remove this, and just you can say here flag is equals to 1. Another boolean variable you are taking which indicates 0 or 1. Okay, so and finally else, this else is not required, because if none of these conditions are satisfied, flag will be automatically 0. Initially we are considering the flag as 0. Okay, so in such case this is not required here. This is not required here. Okay, so only if statements you can write here, and once coming out from this, now you check whether flag is changed or not. Okay, so here in if condition you can just check here, if flag is equals to 1, then you can say here Pythagorean triplet. Otherwise you can just say here it is not a Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so not a Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so this is what somewhat efficient coding. Single printf with single printf Pythagorean or not, you are checking. Okay, so here equals to double equals to it should be right. So for one test case we'll run this code. So 3 4 5 will enter. See, it is printing Pythagorean triplet. Okay, so flag is made as a 1. Okay, so second test case I'll check here. 6 8 9 6 8 9 will see not a Pythagorean triplet. Okay, because all these if conditions becomes false here. Okay, so since there is no else here, automatically it comes to the next statement. This is not part of this if else. This is a separate if else statement. Please remember. Okay, so after coming out from this, it checks flag is initially 0. No, none of these are satisfied. That means flag will be 0. Then we say that it is not a Pythagorean triplet. This is how we can write the code. Okay, so this is better code compared to previous one. Is it okay? You can take the screenshot.